I can stop that for a minute, and we are live. All right, super duper. So it's almost top of the hour here, almost 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to get going here in just a couple of minutes, give more folks an opportunity to join, and we will get the Business Masterclass Workshop Series Part 2 going. All right, hopefully everyone's doing well here in Portland, Maine. And it's a little bit swampy today. You've had some really crazy weather up here, as we have everywhere, right? All right, lest I not regress. So, yeah, we'll get started in here just a couple minutes. So, my name is Robert Quebeca. Welcome to the Business Masterclass Workshop Series. And we are going to look at creating and managing business plans. Okay. So we'll hang tight for a few more people to join, and then we will get going. So hopefully you are prepared. You downloaded, hopefully, all of the materials. There is a link posted in the invite that you received so that you can download everything, and that will give you access. So I'm on Zoom, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, and I am on StreamYard. So I have people coming in from everywhere, and this is, of course, being recorded. And so we can play it back at another time so you can recapture all the wonderful information hopefully you're going to get out of this. So we're going to go for about an hour and get started here right at the top of the hour. Okay. I'm just preparing a couple files to share here. And let's see here. That. All right. Everything's buzzing and beeping and ringing and dinging. And so it seems like it's that time, right? All right. So we will officially start. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining the Business Masterclass Workshop Series. And this is the second installment of the Masterclass, and it's all about creating and managing business plans. My name is Robert Quebeca. I am your host. I am a business owner. I am a multi-business owner, serial entrepreneur. I have owned retail brick and mortar shops, online businesses, coaching, consulting as well. I've been in several industries over the years. I have written probably near 100 business plans at this point for lots of businesses. And the good thing about writing a business plan is once you see everything that's involved in creating a business, maybe you're like, you know what, I really don't want to do that. Maybe somebody else will want to. So, and that's okay, because entrepreneurs are creative. We are intuitive. We are ingenious. And that is what generally makes us thrive and what leads us towards the success that we have in our life. Okay, so not to get too pontifical or philosophical here, I am looking forward to being able to present some real practical information that you can utilize to bring into your situation wherever you are with your business. If you already have an existing business and you don't have a business plan, or maybe you had a business plan, but geez, you haven't looked at it in a few years, you're in the right place. If you're thinking about starting a business, you are absolutely in the right place. All right. Having a business plan is incredibly important to your success. Okay. And welcome. So let's see here. Here we go. And let me do this. And let's see here if I can get over here real quick. Sorry. Okay. I think that should do it. All right. So like I said, whether you are starting a business or if you are starting a business, you're definitely in the right place. If you have an existing business also and haven't had the opportunity to create a business plan, then you are also in the right place. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen and talk about a basic fundamental business plan here. And this is the old traditional business plan that bankers and whatnots expect us to see. And just one moment, and I'll get that over here on StreamYard as well. And voila, there it is. Okay. So the traditional business plan is probably about, at least 20 pages or so. This template that I'm showing you is 11 pages, and that's with nothing filled in. So getting the opportunity to fill something in like this is going to take a long time, and it was arduous. And many people just avoided doing a business plan because, my gosh, the amount of time and energy and effort that it takes to create something like this, maybe for a small business, is really overwhelming. And it can really has prevented a lot of people, including myself, from creating a business plan. The point of having a business plan is really very simple. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What are you creating? How are you selling it? Who are you selling it to? And how much do you expect to make? And if you have investors, when can they expect to receive a return on their investment? All right. Now, if you are creating a business that is, over 500 million, 500 million in sales or something like that, you're going to have a more robust business plan. For most business owners, having a 1-year business plan is really enough. And that 1-year business plan should be like 1 to 5 pages maximum. And we're going to go and look at a couple basic business plans here real quick right now. So let me share another file, another window with you. And again, these are all available in the downloads that you these are all available in the downloads that you should have had when you signed up. So please do make sure that you are able to access these files. All right. So having said that, here is the next one that I will share, and go here, share screen. Okay. And now let me just share this on StreamYard real quick. Window, and there you are. And share. Okay. So this business plan is more concise and it's more direct. If you're a small business, that is expecting to do maybe, under $1 million a year, this is more than enough. Even if it's just over $1 million a year, what have you. I use this business plan a lot. And it's really straightforward, really simple. It helps you think, it helps you ask really good questions about your product, your service, your customers, your finances, your marketing, and how you plan on making money and earning a living through your business. Okay. So I would like to go through this a little bit and answer any questions that anyone might have. If you have questions, you can put them in the chats. So in the meantime, and again, I'm streaming live on YouTube, on Facebook, on StreamYard, and on Zoom. So we've got several people's linked in here. Thank you all for being here. We definitely appreciate you. Okay. So what is your why for starting a business? And it's very easy to get sidetracked by that question because a lot of people, a lot of coaches, and I am a coach, successful coach. And I used to ask the question, well, what's your why? Without your why, you've got nothing, And I came to recognize over the past few years that is actually not very true. Your why is important, but it is not as important as we think it is. It's more important to understand that what you're doing is serving a real need in your life and the lives of others. So we can ask what's motivating you, what inspires you, what's going to motivate you when things get tough, right? And just a couple, bullet points in here is more than enough. Maybe your why is really intrinsic to you. Maybe your why is to be able to provide water to people who don't have clean water in certain parts of the country or world or what have you, you know, um, or to create a nonprofit, that's going to help, disadvantaged or disserviced people of some kind, or maybe it's just a product that you're going to sell with a specific markup that's going to serve people in a certain way. So, whatever the answer is, it's good that you have an idea of why you're doing this. Maybe your why is that you just want to make some bucks. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no wrong answer here. It's just what it is for you. The business criteria. So, explaining or describing the kind of business that you're starting, that you want to start. All right. What in like one sentence, can you describe that? Last week we talked about idea validation and idea vetting and creating your 30-second elevator speech and things like that. So you want to take some of that information and put it here. What is the business you're trying to start? And then what's the criteria you have for a new business? In other words, what is it that you're willing to do? What is it that you're willing to give of yourself for that business? And where are your known limits right now as it is? Okay. So, in that regard, what we want to say is like, well, I want the criteria for this business is that it operates 60 hours a week. It generates $1 million a year in sales. It provides a service that helps to improve people's lives, and you can specify what that service is, et cetera, et cetera. But you list out, very briefly what that criteria is, and you don't have to get very detailed here because we'll get a little bit more detailed in this next section where we define your business idea. Who are you selling this to? In a future broadcast, we're going to have a session on developing and identifying your target market, your avatar, telling the avatar story so you know what their pain points are, what solutions to their problems are, what benefits in their life or situation that they're looking for, what features they want, etc. So we'll create that so that you'll be able to tie that into your entire marketing plan. But right now, it's okay if you're a little bit vague. Because a lot of people say, well, if you don't know who your target market is, you're not going to succeed. That's only partially true. What's more true is that the more vague you are, the more likely it is that you will fail in your marketing. Well, I want to market to everybody. Okay. And there are very few huge brands on the planet that market to everybody. They all have a specific age group, demographic, education level, interests, problems, lifestyles, etc. All right, that are in common for that product or service that they are trying to sell and market. Okay, so it's okay to be, I was going to say vague, but not necessarily vague, but it's okay to just put some initial ideas here, and you can get more clear on them as we go down through the rest of the plan. What is your key value proposition? In other words, what problem does your business solve? All right, what problem does your business solve? And what a great question that is, right? What problem does your business solve? Have you thought about it that way? Usually it's like, oh, I just want to create a product and I want to sell this and market it to people and make money. All right. People buy things and do things out of emotional responses. And people have an emotional response to a problem. So if you can think about that, your product or service in that context, you'll be able to begin to identify what the problem areas are that your product or service solves. All right. What does your product or service do that is better than anything else available on the market, all right, or to your market? And think about that, and not from a place of competition, because in my perspective and experience is that there's no real competition. No one is ever going to do exactly what you are doing the way you are going to do it. If you're going to be trying to be exactly like somebody else, well, then you're copying and cloning, and that's just a different story. But most entrepreneurs aren't looking to do that. Most entrepreneurs are creative at heart, and we're looking to create something unique and to deliver that product or service. So it might be like something else, but what does it do that's better than anything else available? And explore that, because that's going to be some of your marketing points. That's going to be part of your elevator speech, et cetera, et cetera. And then again, this is at a high level here. You don't need to drill down in a lot of detail here. Just a couple words, couple sentences is all that's needed right here at this level. And then what sales and marketing channels are you going to attract and sell your target market? Okay. So how do you attract that target market? You've identified your avatar, we'll get to that point, but how are you going to do that? Is it just social media? Is it, in brick and mortar retail? Is it online, et cetera? Is it through network marketing? Whatever it is. So whatever the answers are, you want to start exploring that and jot down some ideas, and what tools will you use? TV advertising, magazine advertising, newspapers, social media, et cetera, blogs, vlogs, what have you. So just explore that and, again, jot down the ideas. So how do you communicate to your customers on a regular basis? So right now in your mind, how do you expect to communicate to them? One-on-one, one to a group, through webinars, seminars, talks, through advertising, through videos, live streams, whatever the case may be. So just identify a couple different ways that you can communicate to your customers on a regular basis so that they are hearing a consistent message. We'll get to that more in the marketing, but having a consistent message is more important than anything else. All right, just being consistent. Let's look at some key activities here. What are the main activities required for building the business? So every business is different, even though there might be similarities between different business models and what have you. Your business is different than anybody else's. And you're the one that has to show up and do the work. Okay. And what are the main activities that you think are required for building the business? All right. If you have a service, like say, for example, you're a coach, right? What activities are required? All right. Well, I need to connect to people one-on-one, or I need to get them into a funnel so that they'll get to my website and watch the video. And as they watch the video, they will click a link that says, hey, get this free ebook. And then they're on my email list. And then I can email them and get them to schedule a one-on-one conversation, et cetera. So there are a list of activities to build that business. So that's just on one aspect, on the marketing aspect. But what about financial? What do the finances look like? How much is it going to cost me to set it up? So one of the activities might be looking for investors. All right. So when we start to look at a business on a day-to-day basis, it gets very real very quick. Again, us entrepreneurs are very creative. We live in our heads and we live with our hearts, and we have this passion that just lives through us, which is amazing and fantastic, right? But when we start to think about it, it's like, wow, what's it going to look like on a daily basis for me? So quick segue, I owned a restaurant in Washington, D.C., and one of the things that I recognized very quickly is that I was doing a lot more work than I thought I was going to be doing. So that created some interesting scenarios, because my day-to-day expectation of owning a restaurant was very quickly depleted, to say the least. So I had, a wild imagination of, I was going to go in and I was going to bake and I was going to cook and it was going to be wonderful and I'll hire people and they'll do all the hard work and wash dishes and this, that, and the other thing. Well, imagination and reality is wonderful when it works. However, when it doesn't work, it can be really painful. And I'm fucking a bad bitch. Shorty, who's not average. Let's go there, please. Thank you. Goodbye. All right. Sorry about that, folks. So, and it's important to recognize what is going to be required of you when you start doing the business. All right. And so what do you really need to be really good at. All right. So when I had my chocolate shop, what did I need? I didn't need to know how to be a great chocolatier. I was already a great chocolatier. I needed to know how to talk to customers. I needed to know how to motivate my employees so they could talk about the product and the services that we were providing. All right. And so I didn't know that I needed to be good at that. I thought I was just going to go in there and just sell chocolate. Hey, and I found out that I needed a completely different skill set than I already had. All right. So I had to learn a very quick lesson, and I had to learn what to become good at to make that business the success that it was. So this helps if you can think about this in advance. All right. So what are some of the assets, so in terms of key resources, that your business has to have in order to compete? So what financial resources do you need? What financial assets? What skill sets? What relationships? What mentors do you need? Coaches? What types of employees might you need? Et cetera. All right. So just giving yourself an opportunity to explore that and just jot this down, just a couple bullet points is all that's needed. And then key partners. Who are the people that you're going to rely on to help you make critical decisions in your business, right? No entrepreneur is, quote unquote, self-made. We all rely on other people to get things done, to help inspire us, to help us get through tough times, to help us make tough decisions. All right. We're the ones that have to make the final decision. We can get information from other people and other resources to help us make that decision. All right. But we're the one that has to live with that decision. So who are we going to trust? All right. And maybe that requires, an agreement, a letter of agreement or something along that line with that person. So giving yourself the opportunity to consider that in advance is really helpful. What are your revenue streams? If you are an author, it is not going to be just selling books because you will never make enough money. Most book publishers, I've been self-published 4 times. And I can tell you the reason I self-published is because it's very difficult to work with publishers. The return on the investment is not big. Most publishers will not give large advances. My sister just published her 3rd book, and as a result of that, she actually got a $100,000 advance. All right, and it's just an advance; it's a loan on your royalties. So people think, oh, I'm going to get this advance, that's going to be a lot of money. Well, it's an advance; you have to pay it back. So book sales, you have to sell a lot of books to make $100,000. When you're only getting 10% of the actual book sale. So you're going to have to consider it's like, well, book sales is just not going to be the only market. There has to be more. Usually now in today's day and age, selling a book is like a greeting card or calling card, business card. All right, the book gets them in the door, and then you have seminars, you have webinars, you have classes, you have retreats, whatever that might look like. Okay, you have other products that are linked to your book that you sell, which you have at a good markup. So these are all different revenue streams. One of the things I do is, art. And I like to not just sell my art, but I like to put my art on pillows and clothing and stuff like that, so that people can wear my art or use my art in different ways besides just hanging on a wall. All right. So those are multiple different revenue streams. All right. And then what does your basic pricing look like? And if you've got like 100 products or services, you're not going to list them out here, but it's basically identifying, do you have a standard markup? Do you have something that is, you can use as a starting point? Do you have a specific profit that you want to make? If you need to make $100,000 a year as a coach, for example, how much of that is required, or so how much of that $100,000 is taken away for taxes, is taken away for business expenses, et cetera? How much of that ends up in your pocket? And the answer is about 40%. So $40,000. So can you live on that $40,000 a year, take home, right? So understanding how the money's coming in and what you need, to live your own life, the lifestyle that you're trying to create, for example. So this is going to tie right into cost structures. What are the major costs of running your business? Is it product development? Is it delivering the products? Is it delivering the service? Is it creating the ancillary materials that support your product? Is it about employees or training or management, things like that? So just having an understanding of what those cost structures are is really helpful. And how are they linked to growth? So how often do you actually need to change them? Okay, how often do you actually need to change them? Sorry, just one second here. Okay, sorry. So next, business validation questions. What are the criteria you have for a new business? What does it look like for you? And then list out your answers for those questions. Will I be able to support myself running this business? Will this product or service be able to deliver the value at the price that I'm trying to sell at? Okay. And yeah, there's this template I was able to get through dothethings.com. So lots of great resources there. I'll be showing some other templates here just shortly that I got from SCORE. I was an SBA SCORE mentor for quite a while, and that was a very rewarding path, and it helped me to gain more knowledge and information about how to create really effective, succinct business plans so that, you know, a business owner, an entrepreneur can get to the business of business as opposed to, you know, just writing things out because they have nothing better to do. So we're going to take this information that we entered up here and we're going to start to consolidate it, extrapolate it so that we can start to understand what are the actions that we need to take in different areas and start setting dates for ourselves so we can start to begin to hold ourselves accountable. All right. So most everything that you need to know about your business is happening right here on this first page. So we take the information from this first page and start developing our action items, or for the first, I guess, ideally the next 90 days. So after 90 days, it becomes a little bit vague. We can get to 1 year, but it gets very murky after the first 90 days. Okay. So, and it's business plans are all pretty much, you know, well thought out guessing games. All right. Because we're just planning based on information that we have. We don't have any actual information, any actionable measurements to make decisions by. All right. So we can get pretty close a lot of times, but it's very rare when we can get it precisely. So these action items are divided into a couple categories, and you can expand on this if you like, create additional category as you feel necessary. So product or service development required for the minimum viable product. So minimal viable product, what that means is not waiting until you have a perfect product or service. All right. If we waited for perfect software or perfect computers, we would have nothing. Perfect cell phones, perfect cars, all right, et cetera, et cetera. There has to come a point in time where we say, you know, this is good enough to sell. It's going to have to be. And then we will come back and do iterations. We'll do continued development of that, continued improvements and releases. And hey, by the way, every time we do a release, we can charge more because, hey, it's an improvement after all. All right. There's a little sarcasm in my voice there, but you get the idea. All right. Some companies will go out of their way to literally just, you know, the slightest improvement, you know, means a huge increase in price. And, you know, they kind of take advantage of that. But whatever works for you is what works for you. And there's no judgment at all in that regards. So what is your minimal viable product? You know, and take a minute to understand, you know, what does perfect look like for you? And how much time, energy, effort is it going to take for you to get to having a perfect product or service, right? So what you're going to want to end up doing is looking at, I guess, stepping backwards from that idea of perfection. Okay, so if it's not that, what if it's this? And will it work at that level? All right, so say that, you know, as a coach, you want to go and speak on a stage in front of 100,000 people, right? Well, maybe you have to start as a coach speaking in front of 10 people. or 20 people, or whatever the case may be, and build up. Is that good enough for you? And if it's not, well, then you find a different strategy that gets you in front of 1,000 people the first, or maybe 10,000 people, whatever the case might be. But you get to understand, you get to figure out and plot out what that minimal viable product is for you, all right, in terms of your business, your needs, and as it meets your expectations and requirements that you defined up here in your criteria. Okay. So next, we want to keep the descriptions small for each action item to meet that. All right. So an action item might be, talk with an attorney. Depending on your business, it's not always necessary. Talking with an accountant, again, not always necessary. Maybe it's talking with a software developer for your new app that's going to improve people's daily healthy living, manage their nutrition, or something like that, whatever the case might be. So you want to keep your actions small and attainable. I won't go into the whole idea necessarily of goal setting and using SMART goals, but if you set a small achievable action, the chances of you achieving that are much higher than achieving something much bigger as you're just starting out. Assign a due date to yourself. This helps keep you accountable. And it's okay if you don't make it at that date, but it's a date that you have in mind. And I'm not saying that, it's necessarily okay to just kind of blow by that date, ignorant of it. But what you want to do is just have something to help hold you accountable, so that as each of the action items towards each one of these, as you undertake them, you're able to actually commit to yourself that you're going to get it done in that period of time. So what does it take to acquire your first 10 customers? I love this question. What does it take to get your first 10 customers? And some entrepreneurs are like, well, I don't want 10, I want 1,000, right? Well, it all starts with one. All right. I remember when I got my first coaching client, 5 years ago, and what that was like. And then when I got my second, and then when I got my fifth, and then when I got my 10th and 12th and 15th and 20th and 25th, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So it all starts with one, and someone's got to be first, right? Maybe it's a close friend, maybe it's a family member, it doesn't matter. It's like you can go out and rally up all your friends and family and let them be the first 10 customers, because the amount of energy that's going to give you as you start to build the momentum for your business is going to be really, really a great feeling. So what's it going to take for you to get those first 10 customers? Is it going to require an initial discount? All right. Are you going to require a loss leader? A loss leader is when you have, one product that you sell, for $1,000, and it has a value of 300, but then you have another product that has a value, has a cost of, how do I want to say that? You have has a value of $500 and you sell it for $300. Okay. So that becomes a loss leader. I'm not saying that you should do that by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of places will have this loss leader, something where you go and get like the bargain of a lifetime. It's like it's a deal you cannot pass up, right? And that's their loss leader, because once you got them in the door, then you can go after the bigger sale. So a lot of times you'll see that on Facebook advertising, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, click here and get this ebook for $7.99, or get a free coaching class for $7.99, or $9.99, whatever, $19.99. And as you're checking out at that low price, you're going to get a one-time offer to join some kind of coaching program or bigger product or more bonuses for $97. And it's really convincing, right? So that loss leader got you in the door. And once you're in the door, you are a confirmed buyer. All right. And then if you don't go for the 97 one, they'll drop it down to some other package for $67 or something like that, or $49. And hopefully you'll go for that. If you go for the $97 one, they'll try to sell you the $997 one. All right. Et cetera. So all these are just examples, just this one of zillions of examples of how loss leaders work. And they're effective. But be careful that you're not being manipulative, because, a lot of people don't like to go back to places where they felt they got had. So pay attention to what your customers really want, what they're really looking for, what their pain points are, how your product or service is a solution to them, and market to the solution. Market to the solution, market to the solution. Okay. And in the process of doing that, you will find it really easy to get your first 10 customers. All right. But again, you'll list your action items here and you'll list your due dates as well. So maybe you want your first customer within 30 days of starting your business. I'm just picking a number out of thin air. Maybe you want your first 10 customers within the first 90 days or first 100 customers, whatever the case might be for your specific product or service. So what works for you is what works for you. Don't be worried about what works for somebody else, and you should be doing it like somebody else is doing it, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody is doing what you are doing the way you are doing it. All right. No one offers your product or service the way that you offer your product or service because of your unique skill sets, your unique experience, all right, your passion that you're bringing into your business. And nobody on the planet can duplicate that. So don't try to duplicate anybody else's. So let's move on down now to customer feedback. So what's great about this is your first 10 customers, maybe you do give them a little bit of a discount and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you this discount. Like when I started my coaching program, I said, you know what? I charge 10 grand a year, but right now I'm offering it at 6,000. But what I want you to do is really help me by providing specific feedback. All right. And then after several customers, I was like, you know what? I'm not giving this discount anymore because I'm giving a lot of money away. I'm giving $4,000 away for each client. And that's not good. So let me just do that for 4 or 5 people and then I'm done. And that was it. All right. And then I stopped giving that discount. All right. But I still asked people for feedback. All right. Because their feedback, I let them know that their feedback is helping me help them even better. Right. Helping me create a more viable product or service. So from your customer feedback, you're going to get action items. And based on these action items, you'll assign a date to help transform the work that you're doing. All right. The product that you're delivering, the service that you're providing. All right. So every action that you take in your business is designed to create a result. That result will get information for you. Your job then is to take that information and turn it into an action. And it becomes this loop, a very important loop, because that is how you continue to innovate and evolve and grow and succeed in your business. All right. There are no shortcuts to that. All right. If all you're going to do is take, there's no judgment there. But if you're going to take without evaluation, without trying to understand if what you're giving is actually working, if it's actually producing a result, then you're not going to be able to make more money. You're not going to be able to deliver a better service or a better product. All right. So if you want the most that you can get out of what you're doing, you want that feedback in some form or another that you can then take actions on, which will help you innovate and grow, all right, your product or service. Okay. So you got your first 10 customers. Now, what do you need to do to get the next 10 customers? Because after the first 10 customers, you're going to feel good. I can promise you. All right. I can promise you're going to feel good. And then you'll be like, okay, now I've got some information. Now I know what kind of questions people are asking. I know what their expectations are. I know what their responses are going to be towards, certain aspects of the value of the product or service and the benefits, right? So you've got more information that you can take better action on. So maybe all these processes that you had are now consolidating and getting more concise, and you're getting more accurate and precise. And this is going to allow you to be more efficient, and it's going to allow you to be more targeted, and it's going to let you create faster, more predictable, desirable results for your business. Okay. So looking at your next 100 customers, we want to take a look at a few extra things. We'll take a look at customer service, take a look at any kind of legal issues, accounting issues, things like that. Financial, your budgets at your first 10 customers are different than your budgets at 100 customers or 1,000 customers. Okay. Your marketing strategies for your first 10 customers may or may not be so different for your next 100 customers. That might be actually quite similar there. In terms of the product or service development, what kind of improvements did you need to make based on the feedback from your first 10 customers, et cetera. So again, all these different action items have due dates to help you stay focused and stay motivated and stay in the solution. Okay, so this is the fundamental business plan to help you explore your business concept, your idea, and what's required to actually get it off the ground. Okay. I find this very useful. Again, this business plan is in the download file folder that you had access to when you registered. There are, I don't know, probably about 25 different files in that folder, different kinds of business plans, different kind of financial plans and budgeting plans, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to obviously be going through all those here in this workshop today. So what I'd like to do next is I'll stop the share on this business plan for the moment, and then let me open up the next one. Okay, and what I like about this one is the lean business plan. Okay, share screen, window, lean business plan. I shared it there on stream, shared it on Facebook and YouTube. Let me share it here on Zoom. Okay, let's see if I can make this a bit bigger. All right, so this is a lean business plan template. And the lean business plan template is very effective and helps us, again, to be concise and predictable with our product or service. Okay. So this lean business plan template came from Lean Business Startup, a movement started in Netherlands, I don't know, about 23 years ago, 22 years ago, something like that. I was around when they did their first international meeting in Washington, D.C., and it was really fun, really great to meet a lot of great thinkers and great business strategists. And they took, they were the first people to take, that 3,500-page business plan, massive monstrosity, and consolidate it, all right, into 2 pages here, all right. And really fantastic, really simple to use. A little bit, it's going to be a bit different than the one we were just looking at. So I'll walk through this here. So on the one page, we're going to identify, the primary aspects of our business. The second page is the instructions. All right. And the third page is marketing from bplans.com. So that's where I got this way back when, this template, but this template's available all over the place. And the actual file is in the folder that you downloaded, and it's called the Lean Business Plan template. So identity. So what does that mean? So let's take a look at what identity means. So describe your business in one sentence. What is this that you see? Describe your business in one sentence. What's this elevator pitch about? Have you ever asked somebody, hey, what's your business? And then 30 minutes later, they're still talking and you still have no idea what the heck they're talking about, right? People's eyes begin to glaze over after about 4 or 5 sentences. All right. They asked out of curiosity, not because they wanted to hear my life story. Right. They wanted to know what my business does, what problem does it solve, and what are its benefits. Right. And maybe even how much money I plan on making. I don't know. But in one sentence, and not a run-on sentence, define what the identity of your business is. What do you do? Who do you do it for? All right, so here's an example here. We offer high quality biking gear for families and regular people, not just gearheads. Okay. That might be more of a marketing slogan, but hey, if you've only got one sentence and 15 seconds to talk about yourself, you want to be concise. You want to be clear. You want it to be enough to get someone to ask a question. Hey, what's a gearhead? Oh, well, let me explain what that is. Somebody who really likes to get into, fixing their bike and tweaking their bike and, using special pedals and special spokes and special kinds of rims and tires and handlebars and lights and all that good stuff. Okay. So they can start talking about more detail on that. Right. So it's just like, a fish hook, so to speak. You kind of throw out your lead there and hope that somebody's curious. All right. Every newspaper article headline is designed to do one thing. The headline is designed to get you to read the first sentence of the article. The whole purpose of that first sentence is to get you to read the next sentence. Guess what the purpose of the second sentence is? All right, so you get the point. And it's a really important point. Copywriters became famous for this in the late 40s and early 50s. And they started creating these incredible ads that were just impossible to resist, right? And we still fall for it every single day, 100 times a day, right? Do you have indigestion? Well, yeah. Well, then take Rolaids. You'll be fixed in 30 seconds, And so we keep looking for, this bite that's going to capture our attention and fix us, kind of give us this information. Well, you're in charge of that for your business. All right. It's your job to make people curious about your business. It's your job to get them curious enough to ask a question about it so you can talk more about your business. All right. If somebody asks one question and you talk for 10 minutes, they'll say, well, thank you very much. I'll get back to you. And you never see them again. All right. But if you keep it really short and sweet, they're going to ask a question. And then you'll say a little bit more. And it'll be intriguing to them. And they'll ask another question. And then you're having a conversation, and now, you're not in the elevator anymore. You're in the lobby having a coffee, looking at a potential investor. That's happened to me. All right. It's really cool. So what is a problem we're solving? So describe the problems that your potential customers have. When we build out a avatar for our product or service, we really want to focus on their pain points. I wake up in the middle of the night 4 or 5 times, and so your product or service helps them to alleviate that. All right. Maybe it's a pill, maybe it's a meditation, maybe it's a pillow, maybe it's a blanket, whatever the case might be. But that's their problem, and you have the solution for it, so they can sleep all night long and get a good night rest and wake up feeling fresh, so they can go play with their dog or cat or go for a jog and show up for work and not fall asleep halfway through the day. Okay, so what is the problem that your potential customers have? Why do they need your product or service? And then what is your solution? All right, what is your product? What is your service? How does it solve your customer's problem? Really important. How does it solve your customer's problem? Because they are going to want to know that. They're going to ask you, well, how can you help me? Yeah. Well, I have this pillow that as soon as you lay your head down on it, you're going to fall right asleep. And you're going to sleep soundly and deeply and wake up refreshed. Oh, wow. How much is that pillow? $39.95, whatever, So point is that you have a solution and they want that solution. As a consumer, every time I go to the grocery store, I go to the Best Buy or Target or whatever, you go to a store, I go to a high-end clothing shop, whatever the case might be, I'm already looking for something that's going to solve a problem that I went in there having. All right, so I am a person with a problem looking for a solution, and I believe that the place that I am in is going to be able to provide me with that solution. Okay, so I can then feel better about myself and get on with my life, until I have another problem that I want to fix. Right? So describing how it solves your customer's problem is really important. And looking at your target market. Again, who are your customers? Describe your ideal customer. So the best way that I can tell you to do that is to sit down and have an imaginary conversation with your primary customer, the idea of your primary customer. Is it male, female? Is it, is the person, or maybe maybe your ideal customer is an animal, a dog, a cat. Have a conversation with them, imaginary conversation. Say, oh, what's your problem? How often does that problem occur? How old are you? What kind of education did you have? And it sounds kind of strange, but when you play around with imagination as entrepreneurs, we have this vivid, creative imagination. You'll get answers, and it's amazing. It's wonderful. Rely on it and use it to your advantage. So if you don't feel comfortable about having an imaginary conversation, you can ask someone, say, hey, would you be an imaginary customer for me? Let me ask you some questions, and could you give me some insight? Could you give me some answers? And see what happens. And maybe do that with a few people. And that will give you some insight into some of the problems your target market has, the solutions that they're looking for, their age group, their gender, their religion, their education, their background, their culture, what part of the country they're in, their climates, lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera. And all those things are wonderful points of information to have as you go into marketing. So competition. So what other products and services do your potential customers already use? So the only good thing that I like about competition is if you go fishing, you want to go where they're catching the fish, right? And as weird as that might sound, it actually is a huge time saver. Otherwise, you have to reinvent the wheel. There are very few companies that have the time, the fortitude, the money, the resources to be able to do that. Apple, Microsoft, I mean, they started something that just never existed before, right? So in that regard, who are the people that are already using a similar product or service? Where do they go to buy it? Where do they go to get information on it? Where do they go to learn about it? All right. So when you get information like that, then you can start informing yourself about your product the way that your customer informs themselves about the products that they're currently purchasing. All right. And now you are in alignment with their thinking in terms of being able to create a solution to their problem that they cannot resist. How wonderful is that? That you have a solution to their problem that they cannot resist. So much so that they would have to be, stupid to go buy it from somebody else. All right. I don't mean that in a condescending way. I just mean that from this fact that your product or service is doing something that no other product or service is doing. You're doing it better. All right. And your communication to them is what tells them. So your sales channels is information about how you are going to sell to your customers, online, brick and mortar, distributors, network marketing, whatever the case might be. Lots and lots and lots of different avenues out there. So understand what your sales channels are, focus on 2 or 3 of them at first, and find out what works. And as soon as you recognize that it's not going to work, change it and try something that does. All right. Some sales channels require a lot longer investment in terms of time and money in order to get results. So be mindful of that. So like, for example, to do effective Facebook marketing, it's going to take you at least 45 days. So plan on spending, whatever your daily spend is. If your daily spend is $10 for 45 days, you're looking at $450 over the course of that 45 days. All right, before you can really start to get good traction towards your target customers. It takes Facebook algorithms that long to figure it out well, okay? And then what are your marketing activities? All right, what are the primary ways you're going to reach your customers? All right, what are the primary ways you're going to reach your customers? And now revenue. What are the revenue streams? So some of these questions are similar to the ones we saw in the other one, but they're asking them in a very different way. And they're giving us greater information for that as well. So what are your primary revenue streams? It's okay that you not list specific goals here, but describe how you're going to make the money and how those products or services are going to generate revenue. And then listing your expenses, your costs, your overhead, whether it might be rent or employees or insurance or manufacturing costs, distribution costs, advertising costs, whatever the case might be, understanding all of your revenues, all of your expenses. So every business should have a spending plan. Spending plan is different than a budget. A budget says, well, this is the maximum that I have for this, and I can't spend any more than that, and we just have to meet our budget. Whereas a spending plan gives us permission to spend exactly the kind of money that we want to spend on a specific expense item. All right. And then we get to the question of, okay, how do we fund that sufficiently so that we have that money to spend on that item? All right. And this way, it's a different energy. Instead of beating our head up against a budget wall, a spending plan allows us to move forward. It's very flexible. It's very fluid. It can transition. It can change. All right. We can adapt it. And it's far more effective than your traditional budget. There's an example of spending plan and budget in the download materials. And then what are your milestones? So looking at milestones means, what's your milestone for a week out? I don't know. What's right for you? 2 weeks out, a month out, 3 months out, a year out, 5 years out? We don't want to go that far because this is supposed to be a 1-year business plan, right? So want to just look at what your milestones are and look out just a couple months ahead, or a few months ahead. That is ideal, because when you're able to do that, you're able to keep your focus close to the present moment. Us entrepreneurs, we like to go way far out there without a tether. And we can get caught up in our own wishful thinking. Speaking for myself, of course. So have milestones which help you commit to results. All right. Help you commit to taking action. And it's you'll find that it's a lot more enjoyable when you're actually trying to create something that's going to reach something. All right. And then you get to enjoy it. All right. Who is your team and what are the key roles? It might be just you. Many of us are solopreneurs. I'm a solopreneur. All right. Managing 10 businesses, and how do I do that? How do I manage my time? Who do I need for resources? Well, I may not have a team, but I have access to resources, through Upwork, online assistance, et cetera, that I can farm out my work to that I need to get done. But I still need to have it defined, because I'm not a programmer. I'm not a coder. So anything that I need to do with my websites that require coding or programming or anything else like that, I don't do it. Okay. I hire somebody who knows how to do it better than I do. And that's the goal. We want to hire people who know how to do it better than we do. All right. Let them be the success, because if they're successful, your business will be successful. So identify your team and the roles, their purpose, your expectations. You can have very basic fundamental job descriptions. You don't need to go into a lot of detail for that. And then who are your partners and what are the resources available to you? Most entrepreneurs never take the time to take an inventory of the resources and skills that they have. I think if there's one thing that I really want you to take away from this, is to take some time and do a personal inventory of your skills, your talents, your abilities, your ideas, your passion, your why, and list it all down. Just list it all down. Get clear on all the amazing gifts that you have, because those are going to serve you. And the more clearer you can be about what they are, the more confidence you're going to have as you start out building your business, because you know that you're going to be able to rely on yourself. You know that you're going to be able to rely on your decisions. Okay. And that's a very, very important aspect of being a successful entrepreneur. All right. Shooting from the hip doesn't get us very far. Running a business just between our ears doesn't get us very far. It gets some people very far. But for most of us, it doesn't. I know I have tried to run, my first few businesses I ran without a business plan, and it didn't go over very well. Okay. I noticed that was my timer. We're getting, only got about a few minutes left before the end of the webinar here. So give yourself the opportunity to explore the resources that you have available to you and the skill sets, and make an inventory of them. And then identify people you trust or that you have to work with, need to work with, would like to work with. And then call them up, send them an email, send them a text message and say, hey, I'm starting a new business and I know you have some success in area XYZ. Would it be okay with you if we scheduled a short meeting to have a conversation? You'd be surprised how many entrepreneurs will say yes. How many business owners, CEOs will say yes. All right. So if you don't ask, you'll never give them the opportunity to say yes. So it's better to ask and let them say no as opposed to never asking. Right. So make the list of people that you want to have a conversation with, even especially people in your same industry, because successful business people are never worried about competition. They're just not. It just doesn't exist for them because they're so good at what they do. All right. They're so focused on their creation that is what leads them forward. Okay. And these are the two business plans that I wanted to go over today. And looks like we made it just in time. So again, these templates are available in the download materials as part of the registration when you signed up. And for whatever reason you don't have access to them, you can just message me through, put a message in YouTube, put a message in Facebook, etc. Send me an email and I'll make sure that you get them. Okay. And I want to thank you for attending the Business Masterclass Workshop Series, Creating and Managing Business Plan Meetups. And the next event that we have is going to be all around creating budgets and spending plans, right? Managing our initial finances. So I encourage you to check that out and come back next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so that you can get further information about how to run and start your business. And again, feel free to reach out to me for any questions. You can also post in the Meetup group in the discussion board there, any questions you might have. And I'm more than happy to assist in any way that I can. So thank you very much for attending. And I look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. So thanks so much and have a great night. All right, take care.